Okay, hey, Joshua here. I cut grass, and it's February the 24th, 2022. It's about 10:15 here in central Indiana. If you haven't subscribed to my channel here on YouTube, please consider doing so. And if you think this can help somebody, please share the link so they can do the same thing. Today, I want to talk briefly with you about helping to determine the size of a lawn that you're going to service or that you might be doing an estimate for. There are a couple things to consider here. I'm always a fan favorite of actually going out and measuring a property and seeing it with your own eyes, because there is technology available online for you to get satellite views, but oftentimes those pictures might not be up to date right away. Okay, and so you might be looking at a property and you didn't confirm with the customer that he or she does or does not have a fence. You look at it online, it doesn't show a fence. You give them an estimate, and then you show up and find out that there is a 26-inch gate to access the backyard, and all of a sudden now you got to use a push mower. Maybe you don't even have one. Okay, so make sure that the more experience that you get in the field working, you'll be able to identify these types of potential issues from the start, and you'll be able to communicate with customers so you can kind of cross out these types of potential issues prior to them being an issue, so you can get a more accurate estimate to the customer, but also determine if it even is worth your time and if it meets the ideal market of the type of customer that you want to have. So in this particular case, in most cases, I actually confirm this type of stuff with the customer through email or on the phone or via text while I'm putting the estimate together, or when I'm gathering the information that I need to develop an estimate. So there is a website that I like to use. It's called findlotsize.com. It's all one word. Again, it is findlotsize.com. There are several other sites that are out there that are available. Google might even have something at this point in time. I think, as a matter of fact, it does. I can't remember the name of the actual site. It might be nearmap.com, and that might not actually be owned by Google, actually, but that's a site you can use, and I think you can even pay for, and it will give you more up-to-date satellite views of the property. In this particular case, I've used findlotsize.com. And I decided to create this video because last night I got a call from a customer, and this is a typical thing that happens. He says, "Yeah, I need an estimate for lawn mowing for this year, and I just need to make sure that you're not going to tear up my fence, you're not going to tear up my backyard, you're not going to mow, my backyard mat, like this last provider did. We had a serious issue, and I'm willing to pay more money to find the right provider." And this is typical what I hear from people when they find cheap lawn services. This is why I encourage you guys, don't quote cheap. Okay, it's not worth it. You're going to feel complacent over time because you're going to find other customers that are going to be willing to pay you appropriately. Charge rates that are fair and right and match what your profit margin, what you want your profit margin to be. So guy calls, he gives me the address, he says it's a small lawn. First of all, understand this, that is always a red flag to me, because while it may be true that it could be a small lawn, big and small is completely dependent on the individual that you're talking to or the individual that's talking. If a guy previously lived out in somewhere in Montana and owned 150 acres, then a 10,000 square foot lawn isn't going to be big, for him in his eyes. But at the same time, if you grew up on a home that had a 3,000 or 4,000 square foot lot that you push mowed and took you maybe 25 minutes to mow, and then afterwards you moved to a 10,000 square foot lawn and you're using a push mower, you're going to know the difference. So anyway, this guy calls me yesterday. I get his information before I send the estimate out this morning, and his lawn came out to 10,250 square feet. I'm going to do a quick shot over here of my screen so you can see what I'm dealing with. Okay, findlotsize.com. I punched in the address, and it gave me an idea of what the total square footage is. Now, a couple things you want to make sure that you're doing with this. There's that little strip of grass on many properties that runs from the actual front lawn, or rather in between the sidewalk and the street, okay? That's area that in most cases, at least in my area, in my neck of the woods here in central Indiana, where the customer is still responsible for maintaining. Even though it's not technically theirs and it's owned by the city, they have to maintain it. So you want to include that with your square footage, especially if you're doing lawn applications. But on mowing, in this particular case, This added 1,200 square feet to his lawn, which is going to be a little bit of time because I'm going to cut, I'm going to trim, and I'm also going to edge this area. So you're looking at maybe another 10 minutes of my time there, depending, okay? Could I get it done faster? Quite possibly. Could it take longer? It all comes down to the quality of the work that I'm doing and the conditions that I'm working under. Is the grass really tall? Is it short? So forth and so on. So findlotsize.com is what I use in most cases. Again, there are other sites out there. Google has something. There's nearmap.com. You could do a search under Google for GIS space map and then space whatever your city is, and you can get an idea for your town or your city. You should have some sort of a mapping program from that, doing that search that you could pull up and determine this type of information. Now, in the event that I get this customer, I'm going to go in, I'm going to fine tune the measurements as well. So I'm going to walk it off with a wheel so I can get a closer idea. This just gets me into the ballpark, and again, I talked with him, so I understand the size of his gate, and his particular gate is 8 feet wide. But I would determine that stuff. Oftentimes, the customer doesn't know how wide their gate is. It's more common than not. So more reinforcement for you to go out and do a measurement. And then also, for example, this guy doesn't have an irrigation system, so I know later in the summer he might not need to be mowed as frequently, depending on what the weather circumstances have been for the summer and the rainfall, and then all that kind of stuff. So make sure that you're taking the time to understand the total square footage, especially at the start of each season, because you might look at that and I might say, yeah, I can cut that in 20, 25 minutes. But the reality is it's going to take me about 45 minutes on average to do that lawn the right way, okay? The first couple of times, I might have to use a blade edger along the walkways. I'm going to have to determine, based on the elevation and everything, and whether the lawn has a tendency to hold moisture in certain spots, the patterns that I can use when I cut the grass. Does he have lawn furniture out? All this kind of stuff. But the big thing that we're looking at here is the square footage. And the reason why I want to hone in on this is that helps you to dial in your pricing. So what you'll do is you create this estimate for the customer, and I like to keep a list. Name, address, total square footage, anything pertinent that I believe is necessary to know and consider for the estimate. For example, if he only had a 25 square foot, or rather a 25-inch gate, that would let me know I have to push mow it right off the hand. I know A, I'm not interested in the property, but B, it's going to take me more time, so I need to charge more. And then you just come across total square footage and the total dollar amount. That way you can be more consistent on your pricing. You really don't want to just be throwing numbers out there, okay? You want to be consistent, so you always make sure you're covering your own rear, so you're making money for your time. One of the worst feelings, in my opinion, in this industry is to go out, have good rapport with a potential new customer, give them an estimate, and you did it over the phone, you didn't take the time to go out and look at it, or you didn't measure it, and you get out there and you ultimately determine that you didn't charge them enough. But you got to honor it for them, or you can have that conversation and possibly lose them or lose credibility in their eyes. You just want to eliminate all that stuff. That way you have a good relationship with the customer. It has been my experience over the years, particularly on the residential side of the industry, that if you do good work and you're consistent, the customers will write the checks. It's not, in my experience, as cutthroat as the commercial side of the industry is. That doesn't mean that on occasion you're not going to get a call from somebody that says, hey, I want you to go and cut it every 2 weeks now at the same cost. Or such and such determined that they could help me and mow the lawn for me at $35 instead of the $40 you're asking. And I'm just using those examples. Can you match that? I automatically tell them right then and there, no. As a matter of fact, I'm now $45 per the cut. Wait a minute, it was $40. Well, I can already tell that they're not the type of customer I want, because they would not even entertain pricing from somebody else. Any customer that is worth having your service is going to respect the fact that you need to yield profit. Okay, you are not the Walmart of the lawn care industry. You are not the bank to finance their lawn care. You deserve to be paid good rates, okay, that allows you to put food on the table, to put some money behind if you're being a good financial steward, okay? And you deserve to have confidence knowing that you have a customer that wants the same commitment from you, okay? Customer that will drop you for $5 will drop you after 5 years just like that. As a matter of fact, I had a customer last year that she finally ended with me after 8 years. And she said, yeah, this other guy's coming in. He's going to do a bunch of homes in the neighborhood for a discounted price. Okay, even though you voluntarily told me on numerous occasions that we're always going to be the person for you, even though that we've provided you with consistent good service, that's fine. I'm not bitter about it. I'm pretty convinced that I may get a phone call this year or next year back from them, and if I do, there's going to be a price increase for it. But that stuff can happen. Anyway, findlotsize.com, guys. Find a website that you feel that you can trust, that you can take your measurements and then record your estimates and the square footage so you can become more consistent with your pricing. I hope this video helps. I hope you make a lot of money this year and you stop cutting your foot off by underquoting jobs that's going to do nothing but you take money out of your pocket. And lastly, you don't want to actually end up essentially writing a check to do the work, right? I mean, it wouldn't be writing a customer a check necessarily, but if it costs you $60 to mow that lawn and you're getting paid $50, you're losing $10. You're doing the work and you're paying $10 for it. So get organized, record your square footage, and be more consistent with your pricing. And I think you're going to find that your profit margin is going to go up, and you're going to have a higher probability to be able to close the sales because your pricing is going to be more consistent with what you're able to provide. And don't worry about the cheap guys. They're going to fall off. Your consistency is going to pay off for you and your relationship with the customer over the course of time. Thanks for watching. Peace.